Okay, class. This is going to be the last video for the week. So I'm in my SCCM management console. I'm going to go to administration. I'm going to highlight server and system roles. Some of you might have already done this, but if you don't have a fallback status point, I'm going to remove it just so I can walk through the procedure. You need to add the fallback status point. So I'm going to remove this role. If you already have it, leave it alone. But if you don't, go to administration, server and site system roles, right click your server, then click on add site system role. Use your admin account, choose an existing account. It should be listed there. Click OK. Click next. Click next. Choose fallback status point. Next. 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 Then close. SCCM doesn't add that role when you first install it, but we need to add that. If something fails and the client needs to talk to the SCCM server, that's the role that the client reports any failures. So we're going to go into from administration, click on sites. We're going to go into component site, configure site components. Go to software distribution. Click on network access account. Choose specify the account that accesses the network location. If you have nothing here, click the asterisk. Go to existing account. If you don't have an account here, what you can do is click on new account, type in Contoso, administrator, then type the password twice, and it should show up here. So when we install some software, it's going to be using this account from the SCCM server. The next thing we need to do is we're going to go to client installation settings. So let's click on client push installation. So this is how we get our client installed on our machines in our domain. So we want the SCCM server to push out our client software, and we'll go into more of that in a little bit. But I'm going to choose, because I have so few computers in my domain, I'm going to actually install it on the domain controller. I'm going to enable it to push it for all the machines in our entire site and the SCCM server. So domain controllers, the SCCM server, enable it so it's able to push out that client. Go to accounts. We're going to choose the asterisk, choose an existing account, and choose that Contoso account. So this will be the account we're going to use to install the SCCM client. And the last is the site code. It should automatically be populated. So once that's done, click on OK. So we've configured this, software distribution, client push installation. We added the fallback status point role, and now we're going into hierarchy configuration. Let's go into discovery methods. So we're going to try to discover our forest. Properties, enable it, check both checkboxes. It's automatically going to create a boundary for us, and it's going to create a IP range that it discovers as well. In our case, it'll be 10.0.0/24. And our forest is called contoso.com. So it's automatically going to create a boundary called contoso.com once it discovers it. You click OK, run the discovery right now. Now we're going to try to have SCCM discover groups. So go into properties, enable group discovery. In the drop down, click on groups, and we can call it domain users. We're just going to let it find the forest, and we're going to click browse and type in domain users. So we're going to have it discover this group. There's the distinguished name of that group, and we're going to have it search for that using our domain admin account. Click OK. If you want, you can also add domain admins. Browse, type in domain admins. And again, using our domain admin account to do this discovery. Discover now. So until SCCM discovers all these items, we can't really control anything. So we need to discover everything just so we can control it. So we're going to discover systems, computers. So enable it. It's going to ask, where does it want to discover computers? So we're just going to say our domain. Look for computers in our domain. Specify the account to do the discovery with. Again, our Contoso. So we're going to look for computer systems in our domain. If I wanted to, I could specify a single OU or a single container. So the last is user discovery. We're going to discover our forest, groups, system, and users. So we're going to enable user discovery. And we're going to use we're going to look in the domain for users, and we're going to use our domain admin account to do the discovery. Click OK. Click OK. Discover now. It'll automatically do it at a schedule, but for right now, we're just going to initiate the discovery. This heartbeat discovery is between the clients and the server, so the server knows the client is still alive, so we're not going to mess with that. And the network discovery is try to discover resources that aren't joined to our domain, like any routers or switches. For our environment, I'm not going to do this. So now we're going to go to boundaries. Now it found our boundary, our first site in Active Directory, because we configured it up here to search for that. So it found a site, but if I go into it and go into properties, it doesn't know what site server to associate with that our site server in SCCM. So there's no boundary groups either. So before this can be done, be completed, we first need to go into boundary groups, create a new boundary group, and I'm just going to call this boundary group because I have no imagination. And I'm going to add our default first site to that boundary group. And then what I'm going to do is any boundaries that are in this boundary group are going to be assigned to that site and this server on that site. I can have multiple site servers and I can assign different sites to different site servers. So what I'm going to do is create a boundary group, put all my boundaries in that group, and associate that boundary group with this site and this site server. Click OK. So when I go back to this boundary and look at the site server, my site server is there, my boundary group is there. So we're done with that. So now it should be able to discover all the items in your Active Directory network. I'm going to do a simple change that I would only do for this environment. I wouldn't do this for a production environment, but when our client, our SCCM client gets pushed out to all of our machines in our network, we can specify all those settings for each of those clients with this site setting. By default, there's one. But if I had 10 of them here, they would all get collapsed into one, and then that one client setting would be sent to each individual machine. Now, just don't think that if you can create a new one and you can decide these clients will get this one and these clients will get this one, it won't work that way. If I have 10 client setting objects here, all 10 will get collapsed into one. It'll add all of the settings into one client setting and send that to the client. So be careful on how you set this up, because if I set the same setting on a different client setting object, it might overwrite the one that you currently have. So right now I'm going to go into our current default settings. And some of the things that you can turn on is like remote desktop or software deployment or how to communicate with the server. But right now, I'm just going to go into computer agent. And basically, no, client policy. Basically, it's going to connect to our client and our SCCM server and talk to the server every 60 minutes. For this environment, because we want things to happen quickly, I'm going to do it every 5 minutes. But you need to be very careful not do this in a production environment. It'll hammer your SCCM server. We won't have that many clients that it's going to cause a problem. Look at some of these other things. You know, we can allow silver light applications to run in elevated mode. Trying to find you can control power management remotely. You can turn on remote desktop if you wanted to on all your clients, so you can connect to them and for support reasons or whatever. So you can even do it without the user knowing you're connecting. So you need to be careful about that. We'll do that in a later lab. But for right now, I just want to turn this on and have it poll the SCCM server every 5 minutes. So click OK. So while I've been talking, hopefully it discovered all my computers in my network. So I'm going to go to Asset and Compliance. I'm going to go to Devices. And it discovered 2 devices so far. And right now, I only have 2 in my network, the SCCM machine and the DC. So I'm going to right-click, Client Settings, and I could view, if I had multiple clients policies, I can see all those policies in the one policy that's going to be sent to the client. So if I wanted to view that, I could view it here. But since I only have one policy, it's only going to send one policy. So I'm going to go in and install the client on that machine. I'm going to force it out. So I'm going to click Next, check this box to always install the client manager, even on this machine. We've already have this checked because we did that globally on the SCCM server. We said always install it on DCs, install it on this machine itself. And once you do install it, specify which site they go to. If we left these all unchecked, it would still work because we did it globally. Click Next, Next. So another error. Oh, I did it too quickly. I just need to wait because I just updated my policy. So we can just give it a few minutes. Um, Install, next. I'm not going to always install. If it's already there, I'm going to leave it alone. Click next. See if it's, no, I still have to wait. Just give it a few minutes. Actually, I want to try to reboot to see if that helps. I'm going to pause this video. Okay, I just rebooted this machine and without me doing anything, it automatically installed the client. Um, Guys, if it doesn't automatically install the client, walk through the wizard to install the client, give it some time. While the client is being installed, it's going to create this folder. Under Windows, I should see an SCCM setup folder. So while the client is installing, this is going to occur. So just let it happen. If you don't see this folder get created when a client gets installed, you have an issue and you need to try to resolve it. So right now my client got installed. If I go to the start menu and type software, it's still not visible just yet. See, it installed this Silverlight. There's my new software center. This is my client that I was referring to. Later down the road, we can update this through our client settings. We can change its organization name. We can change the website. Right now, this is how you can control your client. It also did some things in control panel, but I'm not going to show that right now. So right now, my client has been deployed to my SCCM and my DC. Okay, so that's where I want you to end for the week. At this point, our SCCM is completely set up. Guys, if I waited instead of doing a reboot, this would have occurred anyways. I just needed to give it some time. If I want, I can go highlight the machine, look at the client settings to verify what settings it received. And again, we know what settings it received because we just looked at that policy. Um, my machine is acting really slow, but there's the client settings that it received, and same for my DC. Okay, we don't have any, we haven't done this yet. We haven't played with malware or anything like that. So we're just going to stop right here. This is where I want you to end for the week, having your clients installed on all your physical machines. You should have discovered your users. In my case, I have domain users, uh, domain admins, and the administrator account. There's my collections. There's my device collections. So everything is good right now. All my machines, I'm not getting any errors. Sorry. No system status. Ah, guys, if we just give this a little time, I just rebooted. These should clear up. Okay? So that's where I'm going to end right now.